Good morning, Alla. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome everyone who is listening online after this recording. We have Alla Ladygina here with us today, and we're going to be talking about multifamily because this is what is on everybody's vision board and everybody's agenda as the pinnacle of real estate investing is getting into multifamily. Alla, thank you so much for joining us today, and good morning to you.
Good morning. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here on this side of the screen. And it's my turn to give back to listeners. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. It's our pleasure to be able to learn from you. Can you share just a little bit so that people, if they haven't come across you before, maybe a little bit about who you are and how you got started in real estate? And then I really want to dive into your multifamily journey.
Well, we've been investing in real estate since 2015, both educated as PhD, my husband in high-tech technologies, me in medicine field. But right now I'm a full-time real estate investor, and he's pretty much on the way to leave his job sooner or later as well. And during this time, we tried several strategies, and ultimately we're landing on multifamily real estate properties, currently all in South Ontario, most of them in GTA or around that, as much as we can stay closer to
Yeah,
that.
that's amazing. So if you looked at which different strategies did you look at and how did you end up choosing multifamily? What was it that spoke to you about multifamily that said this is the right way for you to go?
It was natural work around numbers and around asset classes that do work for us, that do not work, analyzing of what worked, what didn't work. So it didn't come to us from a book or from one workshop or webinar or just from one investor friend who knew that. We basically came to that with an experience. We started with BRRRRs, we started with duplex. Well, duplexes came a little bit later, but those were BRRRRs or buy and hold or a little bit of forced appreciation. And that was the strategy, because our goal was just to save for retirement. Then when we analyzed the deals of what we already accomplished, we saw that, hey, this is maybe done differently. We can do it a little bit more professionally with a more targeted approach. And we realized that the most secure properties, the better ROIs, the better cash flow, and the better appreciation was on those buildings that had way more units than just two. So even fourplex can show you that you have no tenant in one of the units. You need a bit more time to find the right tenant for this unit. You are way more secure to just wait and sit on the cash that you're getting from the three other units, rather than being desperate that, say, your one single family or even duplex is not cash flowing and you're going down. And now with the interest rates, it's even more critical, because the things that were cash flowing okay, say 2 years ago, a year ago, they're so far from cash flowing. They're very negative in cash flow. And this is again when multifamily is all about security. And this is why we love it. This is why we put all our money and money of our partners in the asset class protected like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think people have an idea that multifamily buildings generate this tremendous cash flow. And from a lot of the deals that I'm seeing recently, there isn't the cash flow that people think. Multifamily is more of sort of a net worth play in the future that you can refinance
Sure.
and pull equity out and either redeploy it or live from that capital. Has that been your experience as well? Because I would think, with the level of education and knowledge that you and your husband Vlad have, it's not easy to replace that level of income.
Oh, 100%. For us, real estate it was never a journey to become rich and replace the income. It was always a journey to be safe and to get enough of that freedom to live the life you are contributing the most to the life of yourself and to the society. Let me put it that way. For example, I didn't feel like my highest and best use was doing what I was doing before. That's why I left my job to be in real estate full time so that I could do more, to give
Gotcha.
more. It may sound like a cliche, but this is the way for me to do more and give more. And it was not because my real estate cash flow was able to substitute the income necessarily. It was just
Okay.
it was just because this was the most effective way to reach my goals. That was spending more time with my family. I'm not there yet, though. I think now I'm less with my family than before. But this is still the goal, and this is the most effective way to get there. And speaking about money, financially, achieving the wealth is my goal. So doing this through multifamily is the fastest way to get there, but it is really important. And I'm glad you said that it's not the way to become rich and live rich today. It's not about the lifestyle of the investor. It's all about understanding that, especially in multifamily, it's like it's not about getting rich. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about getting wealthy for sure. For that,
Yes.
you need a lot of patience. You need a lot of understanding that this is all about the delayed
Gratification.
gratification.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy. It is actually very hard because the good deal, the great deal, may not be cash flowing at all. It still has to be cash flowing. Don't get me wrong, because the cash flow in multifamily, it's still very critical. If this is the way how you can keep the asset for a long time, no matter what. And we use sometimes technique like, say, VTB or something which can help you with protecting your interest rates so that you're even more protected from hikes and things like that on the market. But you need that consistent effort put into that all the time during all these, say, like 10 years or whenever you plan to see the results.
Yeah.
And that is the main obstacle. And that is why people often see like, oh, we turned over 5 tenants. That's why this is how much we push the value of the asset. This is how we made the millions. Well, I don't see those millions, right? They are all still in the asset. You don't have access to them necessarily. And now with the interest rates coming so high, we can only hope that the interest rates will go back as we can expect, right? So it's all about delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And well,
And I love
not
you
cash
said
flow.
that because so many people are just, it's about making as much money as I can to leave my job right away. And it's a different journey. Like those of us who have done it, being an entrepreneur, and this is, we think about leaving our jobs and, oh, I'm going to have financial freedom and I'm going to have time freedom and I'm going to have more time with my family. And you touched on it absolutely when you said, I think I actually get less time with my family. The reality is, when we leave our jobs to do real estate, we become entrepreneurs. We become people who are completely in control of our futures. And for a lot of us, that almost ignites this fire, and we work more than we did before.
Yeah, exactly. And becoming an entrepreneur can be a big mistake for someone who is not dreaming about that and not losing their sleep about the concept of freedom. For so many people, it's just the right thing to stay at their 9-to-5 job, do that job in an awesome way. And this is how the world works. Everyone needs to be there where they are at their best at their best, using their best opportunity to use their talents. Entrepreneurs have their own certain talents. Real estate entrepreneurs, those ones who are combining big deals with big numbers on daily basis creatively, those are a very specific skill. You cannot just say, oh, you know what, I just decided to be an entrepreneur and just do real estate multifamily. You need first to have the talent. You need to put that dedication. And then on top of that, you need 90% of that success being done by practice. There is no other way around that. You cannot just decide to, you know what, I think Beyonce is making good money. I'm going to become a Beyonce tomorrow because actually I think my dad said I could sing. It's not that how it works, right? So And sometimes if you're like a great accountant, or if you're a great doctor, if you're a great nurse, if you're great, actually nurses can be very successful as passive investors too. They can qualify, they can come up with, say, other ways how they can contribute to the deals. Mortgages, I mean, lenders, they love nurses oftentimes. So this is the way how you can get involved in real estate, but you don't have to do it yourself. You don't need to leave your nursing job to benefit from real estate.
Yeah. And I think there's sort of a lot of people out there who feel this sense of shame that, you know, they're still working. And one of the things I love the most about real estate investing and the opportunity that I have to work with a whole bunch of different clients is that everybody's journey is different. And
100%.
in your job, or, you know, going down to part-time, or, you know, like everybody, I don't want anybody to feel that shame of I'm doing things differently. That's the best part of real estate.
And that's where the mindset trainings are coming into a place, right? That's where the mindset is another big pillar of the success for any person, for high achievers, for anyone who's doing their 9 to 5 because they feel that this is their talent. For moms who are not working at all, this is a big pillar. Without mindset, we cannot achieve the success in real estate at all. Mindset is the first one. Then you have to get the education, and then you need to act on that. But the mindset, the understanding that there is no place for shame. Once you feel any kind of shame, that means that you need to work more on yourself and understanding. And it's not just about blindly believing that you're the best. It's about understanding that this is not a reason to be ashamed. This is the reason, this is your area potentially of growth, whether this is your personal growth, to understand that you actually need to look back and see how much you've already done. Or this is maybe the way of growth. This is really important for you. See those steps and start working towards your goals. So, and yeah, as you said, I don't see that everyone has to leave their jobs. And I think that exactly the same person can experience different chapters in their lives. And I totally can see myself like being a passive investor if I had enough money or knowledge, when, say, I had my younger children. If only someone approached me and said, hey, you know what, let me use your qualification for mortgage. I only need that much money from you, and I can totally come up with a 50% of whatever that is, how you structure the deal, and you'll have a half of the duplex. Oh my God, I would totally love that deal. Being on my maternity leave, having my job with the government, not doing anything for that real estate deal, and getting a good chunk of equity. I would totally be happy to benefit from that, but I didn't know any better. No one approached me. I didn't have a network. If someone would approach me and said that, I probably would say that this is some kind of fraud, because in my community, no one did that.
Yeah.
In my community at that time, to buy a house, you would need to jump, how you say, the hoops, or you would need to basically suffer. You need to earn that.
Yeah, there's pain that has to come before
There
that.
has to be the pain, right? No one does that. So speaking about chapters of life again, when I achieve more, when I accumulate more of wealth, I will be more than happy to become a passive investor again. And maybe even diversify, even like looking at what we have right now, maybe like put some of that to private lending, maybe put some of those into multifamily deal that some of my investor friends are doing. Why not? That will give me so much more time, because I don't need to buy all the multifamilies in Canada. I don't need them all in Ontario. I have my certain goals, and once I achieve them, then I can totally see myself diversifying as a passive investor.
Absolutely. And that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm repositioning my portfolio. I'm letting go of some of the properties that, you know, aren't serving me, because I realized that as I acquired more properties and more properties, then what I was sacrificing was my time freedom, which was my whole reason to start in real estate.
Oh
So I
yeah.
built this property management company. And then I realized I'm working like 7 days a week. And COVID ended up for me being such a blessing because everything slowed down and everything got a lot simpler. And there was a lot less chatter in the background from, family and friends and all those other things that influence us. And I kind of went, I'm not happy.
No.
This isn't what I want to do. I've found things that make me happy. I know what it feels like to love what I do, and this isn't it. And there's greater things in life that we have to pursue than just money. And I love what you said about, if someone had come to you sooner and told you you could passively invest, you would have done it, but you didn't know it. And I think one of the mistakes a lot of investors make is that they think that when they're looking for partners and they're looking to branch out and to do new things, that they have to only look within the world of real estate. And I firmly believe that some of our best partners are found in our network of friends
Oh,
and people
totally.
who know
Yeah.
nothing about real estate so that we're actually the experts in the room. And as opposed to, if you and I wanted to partner together, we're probably going to have ideas about how stuff is done. We may or may not agree. It's much easier to find someone who doesn't know anything about real estate, but has, capital to put down and room to qualify for mortgages and to be the expert in that room or in that partnership.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what is the concept of partnership is about. It's about finding someone who has something that you don't have, but
Mhm.
you have something that they don't have, and that's how that puzzle builds together, and that's how it holds. Because if it's the same thing, and it's just going to be conflict, and some parts are still missing, so that's not really partnership. That's
Yeah.
why every partnership has to be built on purpose. That's why we often say in real estate that good deals are found, but great deals are made. That's how we always try to find the ways, creative ways to satisfy the needs of our money partners in the best way. There is never a cookie cutter decision, a solution. There is always something which can help that particular person to achieve their goals better. And it's never just about money, even though we're talking investments, but money is very different. It comes in very different, in many different forms for investors.
I think one of the interesting things that we don't talk about enough as investors is the legacy piece. And this is kind of what I realize now is that I want to have a legacy when I'm gone, because I'm middle-aged now. So when I'm gone, what do I want people to say about me? What kind of a contribution do I want to have made to my community or to my city or to the world? What do I want to be remembered for? And I don't think many people sort of envision being remembered for, the person who had this flashy, whatever vehicle that they drove around, or, the person who lived in this like 5,000 square foot house. Most people don't envision that being how they want to be remembered, but we don't start thinking about our legacy until much later in life. But you've already started thinking about your legacy.
Yeah, you're talking about what exactly?
Well, you just your whole philosophy towards real estate investing, and you said
Oh
earlier,
yeah. Oh yeah. I thought you were
your
referring
job for the
to
money.
the Canadian Real Estate Women Association, because that's where I
We can
started
talk
that
about that too.
from that idea. Because
Yeah.
this is exactly why that one is my huge passion. Because this is combining the idea of money and solid social determinants of health and health of the whole society. That's where I want my kids to live in. I have 3 boys, and I want them to be able to have a lot of strong and smart women around that. That's why I truly believe that supporting women, we do support the whole society. But when we say supporting, they have to have their financial literacy. And then it comes and blends all together in a nice bubble of that legacy that I want to leave. Because for
Mhm.
me, this is all unfolding into so many layers. I am able to touch life of so many people through Crua. And hopefully way more in the upcoming years. And then I also leave certain amount of money, even though I don't advertise that to my kids. They think that they will get nothing, but let me say that way. So just speaking, but just financial legacy. And then on top of that, when we talk about real estate, kids see again delayed gratification, the idea of working hard, idea that if you don't need to do anything today, you still need to structure your day in the best way possible that you can think. You still need to work on your vision for your life. If you came with the blessing that you don't have a boss about whom you need to complain, you still need to then take that responsibility and be your own boss. And being your own boss, who's a bitch, sorry, I don't know if we can swear here, it's not that easy, because it's easy to find the excuses, but then that boss, who is actually you, will come at the end of the day and say, is that it? Is that what you were able to do? Well, but because I had excuses. So this all blends nicely and beautifully. And for now, we're staying in the multifamily, going back to multifamily idea, that for now, investing in the multifamily assets is answering all those questions about legacy, about providing safe housing to as many families as possible. Because again, I noticed that to those families who live in my units in multifamily buildings, we often see younger families who bring babies, who go through amazing stages of their lives, and they're so thankful for the newly renovated, beautiful units, safer community, and so many ways that we can touch that as a whole community. It goes so much farther than just money. And when our partners say that to us, they also say that we're so happy we invested with you, because this is like investing in your local business. It's the money don't just go to, say, corporation stocks, to index funds or things like that. The money goes back to your community. That money, they work to improve houses on your streets, to make happier children in your schools and all that. And that happens on a scale. We're not talking 1 unit or 2 units. We're talking about 6 units, 8 units. And then obviously the maybe idea of development is in the future, considering the housing crisis that we have in Canada. Definitely there is no other way for us, but eventually we will be looking into development of multifamily units. I think that this is the only one way to solve the crisis.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. So multifamily right now is a very cluttered space. How are you finding deals or opportunities that everybody else isn't finding? Because it's very competitive.
What can I say? Network is your best bet, but also deals can be found on MLS, especially right now. Way more deals we see in multifamily space now than we saw, say, a year ago, because even multifamily owners, they come, unfortunately, to the position where they need to sell. Some of them just don't want to keep questionable assets in their portfolio when the issues with the LTB are so getting only harder and harder for landlords in Ontario. So there are deals. Obviously, as an active investors, you would need to spend a significant amount of time networking with the key people, not just random people, but not just random investors, but with the key people, with those, say, agents who are specializing in commercial real estate, commercial residential real estate. Let everyone know that these are and that's actually another good thing. You need to clearly know what you're buying. If your criteria is just like, you know what, I think I'm just want to buy some kind of multifamily somewhere in Ontario, maybe south, but I can also go Sudbury. Well, most likely then you won't be contacted anytime soon with a good deal.
Yeah.
Maybe there will be a decent deal, but probably the good deal will go, you'll miss it. Because if you're looking for something particular and you can say everyone that, hey, I'm looking for a multifamily building, 6 to 12 units, say Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, for example, I'm just saying, in this, say, price range or whatever it may be, with a VTB of, I don't know, at least 60%. I'm just thinking now. And then you can, and then I can, and you say that you have partners in line, you have capital partners, then people will look at you differently. They will start to reach out. But also what you need to do, you need to analyze lots of deals that you have on MLS and contact those agents who are listing, the listing agents.
Yeah.
It may or may not help you to find a particular deal, but if we're talking about a starting point, people will start look at you seriously. And then maybe your first deal is not going to be a home run, but after you close on 1-2 deals and turn them over and people see what you're doing, then the credibility is being built. And agents, once they know that you're a closer, they will start bringing you deals.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love what you're saying about the importance of becoming really focused on what it is you're looking for, knowing what success looks like because you set it out really clearly. The other piece I liked was that you highlighted the importance of having financing before you start looking, or at least having a financing
Funding.
plan.
Yeah.
Because I find a lot of people look for deals and look for deals and look for deals, and then they need to figure out financing, and they've created this situation where there's this panic or there's this desperation, and that might actually cause people to choose partners who they wouldn't choose if they didn't have to. And you've highlighted the importance of making sure you know what your financing options are first. So when you're looking at multifamilies, make sure you're partnered with a good broker or with a good lender. You know what they're going to be looking for. They tell you, if you're looking for 6 to 12 units, here's the underwriting criteria you're going to have to meet. Here's the revenue that needs to come in. Here's what we're going to be looking for. And then that helps you focus even more, because you know what, if I tick all these boxes, my financing is going to fall into place for me, as much as it ever does with lenders. Because quite frankly, I was talking to somebody the other day whose lender pulled financing 8 days before closing. So, I mean, there's
On how many
there's both.
units?
I can't remember how many units it was. They just changed their mind. They decided they didn't like the market. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was a
That's
smaller
awful.
market. So this poor person was going out 8 days before closing, trying to raise capital, in order to do a private close. So, I mean, you can never count on financing until the money's actually in the lawyer's account, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, but that being said, making sure you know what your financing options are, your opportunities are, and what boxes you need to tick off before you get out there and start putting in offers, I think is a really key step. There's I mean, I know a lot of real estate investors have done things in different order and had success, but there's ways you can do things that cause less stress for you, and organizing financing first is a great way to do it, as opposed to finding deals and then trying to find partners and going online and saying, "Hey, partner with me, I'll give you a, 25% ROI," and then ending up in hot water for that, which you're not supposed to do either.
Oh yeah. And it comes with experience. You need to go through some of that hot water. Don't expect maybe to have your first deal to be done perfectly and that you can prepare everything. To
No.
me, no matter what we do, to me, oftentimes it still feels like everything's falling apart, at least several times a month or whatever. I feels like, okay, fine, that like never again. And then you come down, and then you sit and you figure out, okay, we're gonna move, we're gonna do this, we can do this. These are the options. This is what we can do. So you grow as an investor, but then also your deals are growing, and then the complexity of things that you can put together in one deal, they're also becoming more and more complex. So it's like a snowball, and it's just like you keep pushing yourself, but with that you are able to attract more and more resources to your deals, which means that you are able to help to more and more people with that.
Absolutely.
You just need to be able to keep your mind available for all those thoughts, for all that, to keep to combine all those numbers. to combine all those networking pieces, to manage the people that you need to manage, to follow the rules where you need to follow them, because no matter how creative you want to be, you are the one who is responsible for everything what's happening. No matter how many lawyers you have on your team, no matter how good your accountants are, or what is on paper, once you sign the paper, you're basically in charge for everything what's going on. And this is what the actual job of active real estate investor is. It's to be able to take the responsibility for everything what's going on.
Yeah, you are the conductor of the orchestra. Everybody has their own pieces, their own things that they're doing, but it is your job to bring it all together in a way that works.
Yeah, so your job is to make sure that you're not playing on the Titanic. So
That's a good analogy. I like that. You mentioned earlier VTBs. I gather this is something that is relatively common, that you're consistently looking for VTBs. It's a great way to finance because it's so much more stable and so much easier to secure. How do you put the idea of holding a vendor take back mortgage in front of a seller? How do you approach that conversation?
I think that market dictates a lot in this, and the situation of the seller dictates a lot. If they're absolutely inexperienced, and especially if their agent is not that experienced in VTB, it will be very hard for them to understand the idea, what they're trying to achieve with that. But if this is a more or less experienced seller, or if the agent has experience with that and know the benefits of this,
Mm-hmm.
then it is way easier to just quickly say than just one sentence. Market right now is also helping with VTB, because this is a great strategy to for the seller to get a higher purchase price, while be able to get still a cash flow on the property that they're already sold, but they know the property very well, so they know that their loan is secured against that property,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. So there are lots of benefits. And right now, sellers are genuinely looking at that with way more interest than, say, that was 2 years ago. People 2 years ago, well, some of those talented ones, I mean, the investors, the buyers, they still were able to get lots of VTB even 2 years ago. But for those who didn't have that much experience, it was way harder to get it 2 years ago back then, because sellers would know that their property would go like it will be sold very quickly. So, but now even market dictates it differently. So you don't
Yeah.
need to be as, you don't need to push that concept. However, with that, still you need to put your offer on paper and make sure that the seller read it and got a chance to read it and signed it and understands that. Because if you're just trying to say VTB to your agent, and your agent just explain it to the agents of seller, and then you hope that that agent can explain it to the seller, so it's just a whole chain. And most likely, if one of those people are not that experienced, it's probably the details will be lost and the offer will be just neglected. So do that. The other good thing to keep in mind is if you're hoping for VTB, and today maybe I should say if the seller is hoping for VTB, then submit two offers. Do one with VTB and do the other one with no VTB. And that usually will show them in practice how much VTB can really push the price up and show the benefits. And if they don't like it, then this is what we can do without the VTB, because these are the numbers. This is how it works. This is math. It's not that you're just pushing. Is this answering
Yes.
your question, or the question was different?
No, that's absolutely. And I think you highlighted one of the important things for newer investors too, which is surround yourself with people who know more than you, that you can learn from, but
Oh
also
yeah.
can pave the way. So when you have a realtor, you might want to choose, you might be getting pressure to choose like your niece who just got her real estate license to buy this multifamily because now she can, buy her house. But the reality is, when we build a team, our power team of people around us, we should be choosing people based on their expertise and because they know things that we don't know, with the
Oh yeah.
goal of learning what they know. So we're constantly leveling up our knowledge. But in the meantime, there's someone who's watching our back. There's someone who is keeping an eye on things. There's someone who knows more about VTBs and knows how to position it with a prospective seller and go, hey, this is something that's really advantageous for you, not just because the property sells, but because now you get to defer a portion of your capital gains over the next 5 years, which means ultimately you're going to have more money in your pocket.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I think that's
Always hire
fantastic.
those. I love, I don't remember who said that, but it says always hire people who will tell you what to do. Don't hire
Mhm.
people to tell them what to do.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to, being the conductor in our orchestra, right? I mean, could a conductor play every single instrument? Yes, probably, but they're not going to be the expert at every instrument. The idea is to bring together all these experts and put together things that you couldn't possibly as a team pull off without all the individual pieces. So I think as much one of the important skills about being a real estate investor is a quality of leadership.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. This is exactly our main role. And this is sometimes when it seems like I'm doing nothing, and or my husband, and and kids often think like, oh, but he's doing nothing. It's like, no, he's thinking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we
sometimes
don't think of
that
all these
moment
pieces.
when you get in the flow and you get thinking may last for some period of time, and then you just know the answer. And that's when the ball starts rolling, and then when it happened and when it clicked, because this is about leadership, about being able to keep all the pieces in mind, all the people, their highest and best talents, and put them in the right place, put the right people in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So, how did you know it was time for you to leave your job? What were the signs? How did you feel? How did you know it was the right time for you to say, "Thank you, I'm out"?
I think I missed the right time to leave my job for about like a couple of years. I should have done that much sooner, to be honest, because I work a lot on my personal growth, and I do try to do the reality checks every quarter or so, and like make sure that whatever I do in my life goes with my that I'm on track.
Mhm.
But I'm also a human, and for too long I was in the denial that this is the step you need to do, because this is a very safe job. This is a job that I love, even
Mhm.
though there were some bumps, at least to say, during COVID, and that was not exactly the job I signed up for. But I'm still a huge fan of public health. I still love the concept that we do there. I always say it's so very similar to investing. It's about preventing something before something happens. So
Yeah.
it's injury prevention, disease prevention, and this is a health promotion. So this is exactly the same idea why I love investing. This is about a little bit about delayed gratitude. So gratification, gratitude every day. Well, what do you want from an ESL person? That's another continuous struggle, right? Continuous growth. So for 2 years, I think I was more than ready to leave. And I should have left right maybe before or after my maternity leave. But there was there was some kind of golden cuffs. And it's really, really hard to leave. And when you say about when it is a right time, this is another question. What is a right time? When are you ready? There is never
Yeah.
a right time, and you're never ready. You're
Yeah.
never ready. So you either do it or you just don't do it. And if you don't do it, it's also okay, as I mentioned before. Just be honest with yourself. If you feel way more comfortable staying at where you are right now, and you feel like you're good. It's not
Yeah.
that you're afraid. It's not that you're not moving because you're afraid. It's because you're staying there, because you're genuinely enjoying that, and it's genuinely aligning with your goals. Stay there. Some of my friends, they keep asking me, how do I leave my job? How do I leave my job? Maybe you don't need to leave your job. And I didn't make that leap of faith to know where to start investing, to buy my first, I don't know, fixer upper. I bought my first fixer upper, 8 years before I left my job.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the moment when I was like killing myself at the construction site, living there at the reno house. And that was awful. That was awful. But that helped me to build a foundation to be able to leave my job 8 years later, considering that all these 8 years, the job never stopped. It was slower or faster, but we never pulled out the money from the projects just to use them for consumer purposes, which means we never bought anything for the lifestyle. We always leave on what we were able to earn at our jobs. So everything what was invested 8 years ago, it was just growing. So we're going back to the concept, very simple concept of a compound interest. If you're hoping for the compound interest and to truly work for you, don't ever touch it. Don't touch it. Let it do the job. So in 8 years, and plus all that active job, keep reinvesting, keep putting those seeds back. That's where I was ready to leave my job, but I was not mentally ready. And well, burnout also helped. I should say that I should mention for sure that that year with the lots of political stuff and war and family circumstances, they truly led me to like clear burnout, which I didn't realize until very recent, until like when it was too late. Until that, I kept pushing myself as a high achiever. I can do more, I can do more, I can do more. And then it was the point when the winning would be, the way to winning would be subtraction, not the addition anymore.
Love it.
So that was where there was that pivotal moment, if I can say so. So it's basically was just you either, well, you can actually die from burnout, right? Because that's what we see all the time as well, even at investor meetings, that sometimes someone can come and say, oh, you know what, that person died. No one knows why. And it all comes to that endless concept, not endless, sorry, but to that concept of legacy, of what are you leaving this for? Are you, as much as we love delayed gratification, you need to make sure that you leave today, not tomorrow. Yeah, and it's funny how we go so deep into those topics and how that can be coming together when we're talking about wealth all the time, right? Because oftentimes in this society, we see that, oh, if we're talking about money, it means that you're not spiritual enough. It means that you don't care about mental health. It means that you're not caring about your family. You do care. And this is why talking about wealth, talking about money should not be a taboo. It should be an open topic so that more people can benefit from that. Because even though money is not the main thing for happiness, it still affects all the things that are needed to be happy.
You're so right. I love that. Thank you so much for your time today, Alla. It's much appreciated. When is the Canadian Real Estate Women's Association back again in the fall?
September 8th. Yeah, the guests
Fantastic.
are going to be amazing.
Oh, I'm so excited. I will definitely see you there. Thank you for your time and your insights and your honesty today. So glad to have you as one of the powerful women in real estate right now.
Thank you. Thank you. And at Canadian Real Estate Women Association, we're proud of members like you, and you're always welcome. And thank you so much for having me again on this podcast. Yeah, and follow me at whatever. Yeah, follow Elizabeth and all that stuff.
We'll put that all in the notes. That's amazing.